Okay, so we've got a few things to go over, and then Michael will talk a little bit about scoreboard stuff, making things a little bit easier. Hopefully you all saw my email about letters to the editor. That request came from some people named Bill, so we're going to make sure that we fulfill those requests. So it should be the headline of the letter, and then by letter writer's name, their city, and then the text of the letter. And like I said in that email, we have letter by line 1 and letter by line 2 as styles that you can select in the story editor in Roxen to be able to name that appropriately so that it shows up on the page when you use the letters template. The holidays are coming up. I talked to all the editors already this week about their deadlines for Christmas and New Year's. The only paper that's going to have officially an early deadline for our purposes, well, the Farmers Forum will print on the Friday before, and then we'll have to have the Rochester Tuesday edition completed before the Sunday night crew leaves. But I did tell all of the editors that they need to have all of their advanced content for every issue through their Wednesday editions in before they leave on Friday. So that way, starting Friday night and then through the weekend, there should be plenty of advanced content ready. So it can just be a steady workflow to get that advanced stuff ready so that hopefully things go smoothly. Then we should have a fair amount of things ready to go. Our Lakes group papers will be almost completely ready to go on Friday. Alexandria, I believe, has a Friday night game the week for the New Year's weekend. So that won't be until Saturday, but otherwise we should have stuff ready to go for all of those. So we'll be able to work in advance pretty easily on that, hopefully. So make things nicer. We printed a paper this week, a print edition that was missing a front page ad. So when people got their paper in the mail, at the top of it was one of those gray boxes with a number in it. So please, when you are proofing pages, double check that that is not on any of the pages. And if you happen to be scrolling past and you see a page has been approved that has that on there, please flag it for the manager so we can make sure that we don't do that again. That was a little bit embarrassing. That was a lot bit embarrassing. Okay, now I'll move on to exciting stuff. Are you guys ready? Okay, so Roxen version 7.2 is going to be released shortly. We expect that we're going to have it by the end of the year. It's got a number of updates. I'm just going to go through here. I'm going to go in the same order that I went when I told the managers, and then I got yelled at for burying the lead. So stay with me. When you're in the standard view, you're going to be able to resize the panels so that you can make some of them narrower and some of them wider, depending on your preference when you're looking in there. There's also going to be some other just things about the look of it that's going to be updated. There won't be any functionality loss, but it'll just look a little better, so it'll be easier to find things. When you're in Page Composer, we're going to be able to filter by template group. So, when you click your story, then you're going to be able to pick from a drop down to go to like centerpiece, and then you can type in 3 images and mark whether it's a jump or not a jump. And then it will just give you all the templates that match that. So instead of scrolling through or having to memorize the template number, it'll be a lot easier to search. So I'm excited about that. The big thing, we are going to be able to deactivate the auto layout once we've placed stories. So if you've done your A1, you can deactivate the auto layout on those stories. And if we need to fix the spelling of somebody's name, we can just update it in Roxen the way that we were originally supposed to be able to do it. And it's not going to make your entire page blow up because it's going to turn off the logic that wants to replace all of your stories that makes that happen. So that's going to make it a lot easier for us to update things and to proof. So very exciting. Paula says, ooh, fancy. I totally agree. In Page Composer view, right now, you have to select include placed, which is annoying because it can mean it was placed in a different property. It's now going to, sorry, I lost the word. It's going to tell you on that page if it's been placed elsewhere, if that's in a different publication. So it will note that it was placed in a different publication. So you know that like you'll get that placed, but it's not placed in this publication. So you know that you're safe. We also are going to get the ability to drag and drop into the Assets tab in Page Composer and to drag and drop images into the story editor. So if you have 3 images that you need to upload into the story, you'll be able to just drag them from your desktop right on instead of having to go through the upload. So I'm excited about that. It's going to make things faster and easier. We saw a demo this morning of another thing that they're working on to include page deadlines in Roxen. I know several of you have asked about that, and we've been working with them on that. And the system they've got set up, they have to make some fixes on it, but it looks pretty workable. So I'm cautiously optimistic. And then next week, we are supposed to get a demo of Roxen version 8.0, which is supposed to really knock our socks off. So I'm excited for that. Everyone wait to see if I like stroke out from joy or something. So if you hear that I'm in the hospital next week, because it was just too much excitement for me. One of the changes that we have coming up is going to be in the way that our pages are sent to PageSuite. Roxen has the ability to send them an XML format. This is not stuff you all need to know, the technical stuff, but essentially it's a different format that it sends things on that is easier on PageSuite's end for their system to parse. And so it costs us a lot less as a company to use that format. And since Roxen has the ability to do that, we're going to do that. We've been working on some tests for that because we do have to adjust some things and they have to adjust some things on their end to make that work properly. A couple of those things have to do with the scoreboard. So Michael's going to go over that. And then the other thing is we'll just be changing the base document for the Duluth Group newspapers on their weather page. Right now, the storm tracker forecast is static on the page. And then we just place the text of the forecast. Going forward, you'll need to put storm tracker forecast in the kicker field and then put the text in like you did before. Place that with, the court script or whatever. And that works. That'll work fine. We just have to add the kicker in the forecast file so that it shows up correctly. Because otherwise it was showing up as just a lonely forecast with no headline or anything on it, because the other thing was just part of the page furniture instead of being part of the article. So questions on any of that before I turn you over to Michael for his super exciting scoreboard stuff? All right, go ahead, Michael.
Just a second, please. All right. So one of the things that we're going to try to do with the XML changes, we're going to try to do more of the scoreboards in Roxen. We will still need to do on print days where you're adding the national stuff that has all the tabs and that we get from the wire service. We're still going to have to do that stuff in InDesign simply because we don't have that functionality at the moment. But there are many examples where we can do the scoreboard in Roxen. It gives us more flexibility, easier editing. So I'm just going to kind of go through a little bit of that and show you just the very few styles that we use, what template to use, and kind of what to look for, how to add a tab in Roxen. All right, so just so that everybody's familiar, this is a file that the forum provides to us each night, since it doesn't have any of the national stuff, like I was saying, the NBA, NHL, anything with all those 15 tabs. This pretty much will just run as agate and subheads. Okay. So I just copied all of this and I pasted it in here. You'll notice that they're keeping some of the old language, like these sixes. That's okay. That's just something that we'll have to remove. I don't want to tell the editors to remove that, because when we do the print stuff, we want that script to still work. So that 6 needs to still be in there. I use it in Roxen to kind of know where our new entries are. So this will be right under basketball. And if we scroll down a bunch, you'll see that there's one right under hockey. Now, I believe those are the only 2. So those would be our big main headers in this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is just select everything and make it agate type. Okay, so now everything on here is agates. I'm going to go through and I'm going to eliminate this 6, bringing that stuff back up. Since basketball is one of our main headers, I'm just going to make it a subhead. One of the things that that I'd like to add for these for readability is I would like some spaces in between a couple things, so it's not just a really long text block. So if you go through here, right now we're at results, right? So these are results for Tuesday. Keep going down. But then you start to get to where we've switched up. So we've switched from college men to college women and then to high school. So if we go to this college women, I'm just going to do a shift return. And what that does in Roxen, that adds a buffer in between this line and this line. If you hit a normal return, Roxen will close that back up in an effort to try to help you. If you do shift return, this line of space will stay and it will help with readability. So I'm just going to go through a couple. I'm going to hit shift return before high school. When you get to high school, a lot of the times they have like a Minnesota and a North Dakota. If that's the case, I try to give those a little bit of a break, but this one seems to be the same. It's Minnesota and Minnesota. So you can use a lot of your judgment on this one. Like I'm going to put one in between this Barnes County tournament. It still is high school boys, but I'm just going to set it off because I think that it should stand alone at its own entity. I'm going to come back to this. This is tabs. So I'm going to come back to that. So once again, getting rid of the 6, making the main one a subhead. Scrolling down. Okay. Just looking for spots. Yep. So I'm going to put one right here because this is for North Dakota. And I'm going to put one right here for Minnesota. Right. So just scrolling down a bunch. Same thing here. We're at high school girls now. So I'm going to make sure to hit a return after that. It's just so that people can go in and find it. That's all. So these are tabs that I've added in Roxen. So how to add a tab is wherever you want the tab, put your cursor. And we have this omega looking symbol that says insert special character. If you click that, right here, right at the end is a tab. Okay. So if you click that, you'll see the arrow. Okay. So just to show you that these are working, I'm not going to put one in front of this 7, and then we'll go back and we'll put one in. So I'm going to make that test. There you go. You can see that it caught the style above it. So I'm just going to hit a return so that doesn't happen. Sorry. Why are you being difficult? There you go. So make sure to save. When you go back to Roxen, I have my test. So these are the only 2 that are under sports. So we have this one, which is the TV Metro calendar, and we have this one, which is for the scoreboard. This has all the styles that you need, but so just test scoreboard and then we'll run it. Since there's a lot of smaller text and a couple tabs, it does take a little longer. So just a heads up on that. It shouldn't be outrageous or anything like that, but it will take an extra couple seconds for all of that stuff to format on the page. So just give it one more second. Yep. So you can see now that the tabs are working, but since I didn't put one in front of the 7, that the 7's not bumped over. So if we needed to, we could go back and bump that 7 over just by adding in a tab. You can see that the lines have all stayed for readability so that it doesn't crunch itself back up. Tagline was put in. So the one thing that I appreciate about this is you don't have to have your final design ready or know your space at the time. So you can, all of these, you know, it can update as much as you need. It can be 1 column to 6 columns. It can be anything like that. So that's really helpful. You can kind of just go up and do anything as you need to make sure that this is going to work and run in the space that you have available. So that is pretty much what I have for doing scoreboards in InDesign and adding tabs. If there's any questions, feel free to let me know either now or later. If you're adding similar to what the sports guys do, or if you are doing the some print sections, we have this guide to Roxen, and then this has all of your scoreboard instructions. These haven't been adjusted just yet, but we have to make an adjustment with the XML, is that we don't want the scoreboard header to be in your image file. We want it to be added into the Roxen story, and that way the XML will pick it up. Right now, I'm told when you click on it, I don't need to have this open right now. Yeah. So right now I'm told when you click on it that the story doesn't pop up with what we would consider a headline. So that's what we want to make sure. So if you're going to bring in an asset, so if you're going to bring in, one second. Sorry, I forgot to close it. I'm not sure I have any scoreboards in here, but that's okay. So I still have to add this to the template, which I'll do right after the meeting. But if this were a scoreboard, we would need to go in and add the scoreboard kicker in this file and not have it in your original image. This again just goes to the, so that it displays correctly in the e-paper. I know that Dalton and Barry and Michael, will be a change for you guys. So if you have any questions or you need me to have a example that's all ready to go, just let me know. But so it should be removed from your general image. So it doesn't need to be on your working file. And then when you put it into Roxen, please add the kicker. That way it'll display correctly for us. So any questions about any of that stuff, feel free to let me know, and I will update our scoreboard instructions to make sure that that's added on there. Thanks.
Okay. I will say that that's easier to do once you've done it a couple of times. You can actually look at it and do it. When you get to that point and you're working on something, if you have a question, ask Michael if he's here. I can help you. If I'm here, we'll walk you through it if that's what you need. I know it's a little bit.
So Aaron asked if there's any other paragraph styles we should be using. Right now, the only ones that I am using are agate and then subheads for the main one. If you happen to look at it and you think that it would benefit from some bolding, if you wanted to bold men's basketball or something like that, you can. Or if you notice that it was bolded in the file, but that didn't translate over, that's okay. I think one of the things for readability that I'd like to stress is just the shift returns, so that not everything is, runs right into itself. Give it a little bit of breathing room to make sure that, each little block stands out by itself. Well, that's okay. Now we're all good. Yep, no problem. And I'll add these to our guide too. So I'll update the PDF asset one, and then I'll add instructions for the how to do it in Roxen and the few styles that we use, similar to what I have for the TV radio stuff that people seem to have figured out pretty easily.
All right. Awesome. Thank you all. Let us know if you have any questions, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.